Alright, welcome to TruckPay. Here's how you get started using the entire platform. You start out by going to truckpay.com by typing that in your web browser above, and you'll be presented with this page. At the top, you'll see that we have a sign up and a login button. Both of you will bring you to the same exact area, one with a form to sign up, one to log in. For this demonstration, we're just going to hit the login button and be presented with this screen over here. Now you can see that we can select between logging into TruckPay or My Truck Scales. TruckPay is what we're going to be logging into today. My Truck Scales is in a separate video. To create an account, click on the Create Account button, enter in your first name, last name, date of birth, a profile picture if you'd like, email address, a regular address. Click on it, make sure that you do that and actually click on it from Google. Ignore the autocomplete that you see popping up from your browser. An apartment number if there is one, or a second address, phone number, password, and then confirm that password. And make sure that you have an uppercase, a lowercase, up to 8 characters, and a symbol, as well as alphanumeric numbers and numeric numbers. So we're going to log into a pre-existing account that I have. Now you can see that we have a list of all the companies that we belong to. So to belong to a company, you can either create one yourself, or you can be invited by your employer to be a part of that specific company. To create a company, click on the Create Company button, enter in a company name, an email address, a company phone number, select what type of company it is, subcontractor, construction company, shipping company, independent owner-operator, or just a regular truck driver, or a material supplier. Select what type of federal tax classification your company falls under. You can also select if you're minority owned. We do this at TruckPay so then we can actually prioritize minority companies for jobs in areas where minorities are required. You'd enter in your minority certification ID as well, a short description of your company, your position, or as close to whatever your position might be. Full address again, make sure that you click on the Google autocomplete. Put in your EIN, and then optionally, if you're not an independent owner-operator, your US DOT number if you happen to own trucks, and optionally, your general liability form. Once you do that, you will have created your company. So over here, we're going to click on View Employer to go into our TruckPay profile. And you can see that we have a bunch of different random demo sites that we've created over here. Over here, you can see we have a picture of the site or a placeholder, the name of it, the company that created it, the address, the hours that it's open, if there's internet quality there, not just Wi-Fi, just full-blown cell service, and electricity, yes or no. If you'd like to create a new site, and remember, this is coming from the construction company's perspective. So as a construction company, you are able to create sites and create jobs. Shipping company, you can do that as well. And if you're a subcontractor, in which case you can create construction sites and jobs for your drivers to then bid on. But we're going to be doing this as the role of a construction company over here. So to create a site, we'll hit Create Site. And I can enter in a site name. Call this TruckPay Demo. And then we can either enter in an address, the coordinates of the site if the address doesn't exist yet, or just drop a pin on a map. So I'm going to add one right now. See, it automatically locates it. We'll select an open date, or rather a start date and an end date, and then an open time and a close time. So right now it is 3:39, so we're gonna have this open at 3:45 p.m. today, and we'll have it close at 9 p.m. There's pretty good cell service in the New York City area, and electricity is on site, and then we can select a picture if we'd like. The reason why we ask for the Wi-Fi quality or cell service in general is because if you happen to be in a remote area, TruckPay has a deal with a company that will allow us to provide a router for you remotely in the field. We'll set it up for you and eat that cost, and you'll be able to have internet connectivity in that area. So we'll hit Create Site now. And you can see we've got that new site that we created called TruckPay Demo. can see my employees, obviously just myself right now, where it is on a map. I can close it for whatever reason. This is a pretty small but powerful feature because right now, if you have to close a site, you have to call up a broker or call up all of your truck drivers and tell them to not show up for whatever reason, which takes up a lot of time. Now you just select the reason why you're closing the site, and all the truck drivers working on that site will get a push notification immediately telling them that the site is closed for whatever reason. You can see all the basic site information and jobs, if there are any jobs attached to this site. So let's go take a look at jobs. So over here you can see we have current, pending, past, and in progress jobs. Current jobs are ones that we've created that we have a bid currently on. A pending job is one that we've created but no one's bid on it yet. A past job is one that we've marked as completed or the end date is in the past. And an in-progress job, as you could probably imagine, is a job where a truck driver has currently checked in but it has yet to check out. So to view an example of a job, you can see the site that it's on. You can see the schedule for the job, when it's open till, the operational hours, all the information about it. You can see that the amount for this is bid price to be determined. We'll get more into this when we go into creating an actual job itself. But what this means is that drivers will be able to bid their own custom amount on this job, as opposed to you, the company, defining what you're willing to pay for this job. You can see the pickup address, the drop address, any of the bidders we have, awarded bidders, or company drivers. If we'd like, we can assign company drivers if they were in our area, and if we had any employed. So to create a job, hit create job, and then select a site that you would like this job to be on. So I'm going to select TruckPay demo, I'm going to hit next. And the next thing that I do is select what type of job type I'm going to create. So at TruckPay we support two types of jobs: standard jobs, where you're just dealing with a pickup and a drop-off location, and you're just going from point A to point B, or a four-way job, which is a scenario in the case where you have a material supplier that's involved in the transaction, as well as a customer purchasing the material from the material supplier, and then you're just the one dealing with actually transporting the goods. So in this scenario, if the material supplier has TruckPay or the customer has TruckPay, you'll be able to select which material supplier you'd like to work with, which customer, and how you'd like to pay them. So the material supplier, you can pay them per ton or per load, or transaction type for the customer, you can pay them per hour, per load, or per ton. Because obviously you're not paying per hour for material. For the sake of this demo, I'm going to do this just a standard job. So to do a start date of work, we'll select on today. End date of work, we'll select the 31st. Open time, again, we'll make it work within our current constraints. So I'll have this start at 3:50 p.m. and close at 10 p.m. Actually, let's make it close at 9 p.m. just on the site. So now we can select if the bid price for the job is fixed or not. In this scenario, if it is fixed, then us as the creator of the job will be the ones defining what the price for that job is. If not, then, like I was just saying prior, the truck drivers will be bidding their own custom amounts against you, and then you'll be able to accept or decline whichever bids you'd like. Ideally, the truck driver that bids the lowest amount with the highest rating would be the person that you'd want to be accepting. So here we're going to select a fixed bid price, and we're going to pay per load for the sake of the demo. We're going to select the date that the bidding ends. We'll say that we're no longer accepting bids up until the day beforehand, and we'll name this job TruckPay Demo Job. Then next, we'll select what type of equipment we need for this job. You can see that we have a bunch to choose from, and if there is any that you don't see here, let us know and we will add that for you. So for this, we're going to select a dump truck. We'll say that we need 5 dump trucks for this job, and they're probably going to be moving around 10,000 tons maybe, and maybe they're going to do a total of 10 loads. These are just estimates. If scan picture is required, that means that you're saying that the truck driver must take a picture of his fully loaded truck once it's filled up and his unloaded truck once he drops his load at the destination. And this will be automatically built into the flow of the truck driver's check-in and check-out process. So if the driver is checking in and scan picture is required, after he loads his truck, it will prompt him to take a picture of that full load. And once he unloads, it'll prompt him to take a picture of that unload, and you'll be able to then see that on your invoice once that's generated at the end of the day. We'll select yes for the sake of the demo, just so you can see that feature. Then who pays the scan fee? So we are transparent about showing this. This is the fee that is used to actually use TruckPay. So this is kind of like TruckPay's broker fee for the job or service fee. So what you're saying here is that you, the company, are going to eat that cost, which is generally around $1 or 3% of the load, but those are subject to change depending on if you're a customer that is a big user of TruckPay. Just talk to our sales team. Or you can have that cost be offset onto the driver, in which case that'll be automatically taken out of their salary. And they'll be able to see that even when they're bidding on the job. Next, you'll be able to select if you'd like to auto-award the bid or not, in which case, if you're getting tons of bids in for this job, we'll have our algorithm go through and automatically award those for you. We'll select the invoice frequency to be daily, and the payment frequency to be daily. We can optionally put in a purchase order number, so we'll just randomly call this PO12345, and any notes that you would like the driver to see. For instance, when you pull up, make a hard right, stop at the red stop sign, and then proceed left to weigh your truck. That could be an example of a note. Next, we'll select what is a TruckPay demo, or rather, what is TruckPay demo? Is it the pickup or the drop-off location? So for this, we can select that it's the pickup location, and then it'll ask us to enter in the coordinates or the address for a destination. So I'm going to have this go to a spot in New York City, just to show you on a map. You can select what type of material. Again, if there's anything that you don't see here, let us know and we'll put that in for you. Next is a very powerful feature, which is selecting how you'd like the truck drivers to check in. They can check in with our patent pending QR code technology, or they can check in with a self check-in or a signature. So if you check in with the QR code, what happens is a QR code will pop up on the driver's phone, which is uniquely generated during the time of that job. And every single time the driver checks in, a new code is generated. And in this scenario, you would have a site operator who would normally be writing out the paper ticket that the driver would normally get. And instead, they would just be scanning that QR code. Self-check is when there is an unmanned person at the site, meaning that the truck driver pulls up, there's no one there to check him in, he just hits the check-in button, and we'll automatically record the time and date and location at which he clicked check-in and make sure that he's actually at the site and doing it within the job's check-in and check-out times, aka their opening and closing time. Lastly, signature, which is where a signature pad will pop up on the screen after the driver checks in, and that scenario, a site operator would normally be signing for that. You will be able to see a picture of that signature on the invoice before you pay it to verify that that was actually there and not forged. So we'll select self-check for check-in and have the driver check out with the signature, because each location has different types of workflows. We have our bid calculator, which will allow the truck drivers or the construction companies to decide if how to bid or what to make the bid amount for the job. For this, we'll say, look at 50 a load. I can add a haulback job if I'd like, which is a scenario where we're not just going from point A to point B, we're now creating a load of where we go from point B to point C. We can enable a geofence around the site, in which case, if you aren't within that geofence at the pickup or the drop-off location, you will not be able to check in or check out. This is to prevent fraudulent tickets. You can add sign-off members. In this scenario, you'll be able to see a list of all of your employees that have the permission to pay invoices, And what you'll be able to do here is select which of them is first, second, and third in that order to sign off on those jobs before the invoice can actually be paid. Almost lastly, we have adding rainouts. So in this scenario, if a truck driver pulls up and it starts raining and there isn't enough warning time, you'll be able to specify what that warning time period is for the truck driver to then get paid if he's there overtime. And this is the rate at which you would do it per hour. Lastly, is this a public job that we're going to post on the TruckPay JBS or the job board service? Yes, it is. We'll see a little preview and finish it. So now if we go to jobs, we can see we have our new TruckPay demo job that we have just created. Here's a little preview of it. Directions to it if we'd like to see that on screen. But generally, we figure that the drivers have Google Maps, and they'll be able to go right into Google Maps or Apple Maps right from their phone. And you can see all your truck drivers in real time and track them below. In the same way you're able to track them in real time, you'll be able to see the route that they actually went on the invoice itself. So for instance, if I wanted to see real-time reports, I could select when I'd like to see them for, and I can select a site. Obviously, we haven't done anything yet on this site, so there's nothing to see yet. If we go to payments, we can take a look at all of our invoices for the past year. We can pay outstanding ones. We can take a look at which ones are regular ones or four-way invoices. But you can see the invoice number that corresponds with the ACH payment that you receive, the total amount or the amount that you send, who actually checked in on this job, the check-in time and date, the load duration, the scan fee charged, and who paid that fee. You can then see that this was a job where a signature was not required at the pickup, but it was at the drop-off. Next, we can see over here, if we click on another invoice, wait for these to load up as well, but you can see, kind of just walked around the area over here, but you can see the route at which the driver went and be able to see that before paying the invoice again in real time. You can look at your accounts receivables as well. So we have a few over here. Next, we can add vehicles to our account if we happen to own trucks. You can see that we have a few over here. Create a vehicle, hit the Create Vehicle button. Select a picture, vehicle name, what type of equipment that vehicle is, because you'll only be able to bid on jobs with that or assign jobs to that specific vehicle that require that type of equipment type. The vehicle identification number, which we use to automatically determine the make, model, and year of the truck. License plate number, the weight capacity in tons, the fuel usage miles per gallon, the tank units, tank size, and then lastly the truck tare weight, number of axles, and insurance information. You can see we have some of that information over here on trucks we've already created. This is just a sample picture I uploaded. I can edit it, and then I can dispatch these trucks. Next, we can export data. So we can take a look at all of our current jobs and all of our past jobs, and we can export the data for that time period. So if I selected this job, I can select emails to have that go to. For instance, ben@truckpay.com. And then maybe barry@truckpay.com. Select the date that I'd like to see all of those invoices for. So let's say we want it for years in advance or in the past. Now, I can then click Export Data, select if I'd like to include the delivery data, invoice data, or both, and then select what format I'd like to export that in, Excel or CSV. And when I do that, the person that is on the receiving side of this will get an email from support@truckpay.com so they know that this data has not been tampered with and it's come right from our databases. If you had drivers that had just finished working on a job, they would appear here and you'd be able to rate them. Over here, you can look at all the employees within your company. You can also invite new people to work for you by just entering in an email, selecting their position, and then selecting a permission group for them to be a part of. They can belong to multiple permission groups. And to look at the permissions within each group, you can click on each of these over here, these accordions. If we go to settings, we can edit our payment methods and add new ones, payables and receivables if your bank is not listed on our list of banks, which are all the major ones. You can search for other ones, for instance. And if you still can't find it, you can enter in your company name, your routing, and account number, and then we will deposit a few micro deposits into your account, and then you will then verify them on the website. And it'll have a verify button over here. You can view all the permissions for users within your company, any general settings, terms of service, privacy policy, about us. And that is all of TruckPay. For any questions, you can feel free to reach out to ben@truckpay.com, barry@truckpay.com, or if you just have general questions, reach out to support@truckpay.com.